S&P 500 is on the verge of fresh all-time highs. A rising wedge formation is replaced by a possible bullish flag formation on S&P 500. I will explain what the targets are for this breakout should it occur. Dow Jones, equal weight, and high-yield bonds all hit records, which adds to the bullish posture of S&P for stocks. Gold is at all-time highs, however, pullback is likely in the short term. We will also examine three cryptocurrencies, namely Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, and we will look at Solana and Ethereum as they possibly lead Bitcoin to the downside. All this and more in today's edition of MasterChartsTrading.com market recap for Friday, August 30th, 2024. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, make a comment. If you have any questions, let me know. Also, if last time I had some complaints about the sound, hopefully sound has improved. If you are not yet a subscriber, consider signing up. We will be covering various securities in the members only video, which is coming out later today or possibly early morning tomorrow, namely market breads, various ETFs, large cap stocks, speculative securities, as well as gold related. Throughout the presentation, I'll be using my proprietary MasterChartsTrading.com price action indicators. You can see them on this chart, this green, blue, red, and yellow lines. You can also find out about them by going to the link in the description. Okay, so we're currently looking at S&P 500. And on this chart, notice that I highlighted this potential rising wedge formation that began on the 5th of August and continued throughout possibly 20th or so of August. And if you are a subscriber, I have kept talking about this to my subscribers, and I kept saying that if we saw a reasonable or significant break of this formation to the downside, then we could have seen a significant move down, potentially retesting this blue support resistance line or this bottom of the rising wedge that occurred on the 5th of August. However, today's action specifically is quite the opposite of this break to the downside, and in fact I highlighted this particular potential formation on this chart of S&P 500 ETF SPY. Now, I don't normally trade using various chart formations. I use this my indicator lines exclusively. So you can see this blue support resistance line. For example, previous good opportunity to buy was back in November of last year, almost getting close to a year ago. And we actually haven't even touched this blue support resistance line. Even when we dropped on the 5th of August, we haven't gotten to that. So there is that same formation that I just highlighted, that what I thought was a rising wedge formation. However, currently it doesn't seem to be that anymore. So notice this potential. This is maybe what's called a flag. So we have this rising channel, and now we have a sideways consolidation. So this sideways consolidation started somewhere in the 20th of August and has been going on since. Notice that today's price action is particularly of interest, as this is the highest close from this potential flag itself. So we're not even a percent away from record highs. So I think if we break out to new records, then we could easily see this rising wedge part of this formation duplicated on the upside. So basically I took this part, and I sort of just drew it to the upside here. So we're looking at a potential move just from this formation of about 10%, or 53 points for S&P. This is a ETF SPY. So we're looking at a move of about 9 to 10%. Let's look at the same formation on the actual chart of S&P 500. So if we break out to new records, we will most likely see at least this about 10% move, or in this case for S&P 500 is about 500 points. Most likely it will be duplicated on the upside. So we're looking at S&P 500 at around 6,200, possibly sometime into October, maybe even earlier. We don't know exactly, I mean, at what point the breakout will occur. But this is a sort of a classic way to estimate a move of what is the magnitude of the move that's going to occur based on just chart formation. Again, I don't normally use the chart formations to trade, to make decisions to buy or sell or do nothing. I mostly just look at my lines, but this sometimes just sort of jumps at you, and this is a sort of a V-shaped reversal, and the depth of this pattern once again is around 10%, so it is very reasonable to expect something of similar nature to be duplicated on the upside. So quite bullish, I think, potential, especially once the new records are set. We might see a melt up for stocks. Now, why does that happen? Why do we see melt up for stocks when new records are hit? So let's just pretend for a second that you are bearish and you, for some reason, were able to call exact date of this top from July 15, 16 here of this year, and you actually went short. You decided to go ahead and short this security, in this case S&P 500. You were pretty successful for a little while, but you had to put your stop somewhere. So what does that mean, to put your stop? So normally when you are trading, you say at some point I might be wrong, and at what point do I cut my losses? So normally, once again, you put your stop above previous levels that were of importance. So clearly this is a level of importance, previous highs. So if you did indeed short it, and you, for example, had very little equity, let's just pretend for a second that you shorted it, I don't know, like there, like on August 5th or 6th, you had to put your stop somewhere. So most likely you would put your stop above previous highs. When the new highs are hit, you have to cover. You said, okay, you know what, I was definitely wrong. I need to cover at a certain point, and when do I cover? I cover at new highs. Pretty much everybody will do the same thing. They say, I need to cover. What does it mean to cover your short? It means you need to buy a security to replace the one that you borrowed. Because when you're shorting something, you borrow a security, and when your stop is hit, you said, okay, I need to stop this. I need to buy on the open market, cover my short, return the stock that I borrowed, move on with my life, move on with my loss. And where do people put their stops? They put it above previous records. So this is the reason why I think we will see a melt up, and sometimes it's pretty quick too. So for example, previous highs were hit here in April. We had a little bit of a dip, and then we had another, we even saw a little gap right there between May 14th and May 15th, and it just melted up quickly again. So this is short covering rally, and I think in this case, if we do break out, I think again, once this dip was relatively sharp, and it was about 10% deep, so I think we will see a similar pattern duplicate on the upside. When or if we hit that level of around 6,200, most likely we'll see some sort of a stop to this again, and again a pause or a pullback. No way to predict, of course, when this will happen, but I think especially today's action, I was very impressed. Just the way it closed above previous highs. This is a very bullish candlestick from today. It shows presence of buyers because the open was below the close. This is a candlestick analysis here. So it's a big green candlestick. We opened at around 5,600. Sometime during the day we dipped towards like 5,800, but the buyers came in and bought it, and in fact they bought it all the way until the very end of the session. So this is a very bullish candlestick today. So I think again, once we break out to new records, this is very close. I think we'll see a melt up of some sort. So this is S&P 500. Other securities of interest have already hit S&P have already hit record highs. So for example, here is RSP, which is equal weight ETF. And notice that the dip was actually not even that big. The beginning here on July 31st, we dipped for 3 days, or 4 days technically, until August 5th. And that was it. And notice how small this move was. So equal weight S&P 500 just means that each of the securities within this ETF is equally weight. So let's say Apple and Ford would be identical, whereas in S&P 500, Apple is like 5 or 6% of the capital weight index, while Ford is like less than 1%, I think. So notice again, we broke out to new records already, like last week. This is already a new all-time high close on August 21st, and we just continued higher. We keep squeezing out those shorts. So again, if you put a short above previous highs right there, then you have to cover at new highs, and they just keep squeezing the shorts out this way. So we're seeing this short squeeze already unfold on certain securities such as equal weight ETF, S&P 500. Here's Dow Jones Industrial Average. At that one already also closed at new all-time highs. Today it actually closed at all-time high. It did hit an all-time high intraday on August 26th, on Monday of this week. So the short squeeze already has begun. You can notice the previous highs, and there is the new record. So Dow Jones also has a new records. Now within Dow Jones, obviously not everything is rosy. Like for example, Walgreens is still a Dow Jones stock, and Walgreens is like near the lows. Does that mean they are going to turn around? It's a possibility. Yeah, sometimes they're just way oversold, and when, as they say, the tide lifts all boats. So perhaps this is the tide that some of those oversold securities, such as Walgreens, have been waiting for. So there's Dow Jones. We're looking at, we just looked at equal weight ETF, and now let's look at high yield bonds. High yield bonds, once again, I wanted to emphasize the reason why I like to look at high yield bonds in relationship to S&P 500 is because high yield bonds correlate highly to the S&P 500. So here's JNK on weekly time frame, and down below here is correlation to S&P 500. So correlation just means how closely does one security follow the other security's action. And notice that it's pretty much doing the same thing. It's very close. So high yield bonds barely budged. Here's the August 1st high, and here's August 5th low. It didn't even touch the green support resistance line. Notice where the S&P 500 went. It almost got to the blue support resistance line. So huge difference there. JNK started making new records already on 13th of August. High yield bonds already broke out to new records, and this was like my clue that most likely we're not going to see anything of a follow through for stocks to the downside. And so I was a little bit less worried. Of course, I was a little cautious, but I think at this point we can just say that this whole corrective action is now behind us. So this is important in analysis when you trade stocks to look at high yield bonds as well. Okay, so this was the stocks. Let's move on very briefly to dollar currency index. This is DXY, US dollar currency index against other currencies. Notice this downward facing arrows. So I think currently dollar is in a downtrend. Up until very recently, dollar was in an uptrend, and notice this upward facing arrows. So when we saw a break below this red support resistance line, this was our signal to sell short the dollar. So if you had an opportunity to sell it short, you were very successful. Notice very nice move into late August, and now an oversold bounce. So 3 days of oversold bounce. Not sure if we're done with it, unless we closed above this yellow support resistance line. I wouldn't really do anything at this point. I mean, if you sold a dollar short, then you may want to take some profits at this point. But I think the bigger direction is down. So if or when we see a move higher for dollar, perhaps we'll see a move towards the red support resistance line, which is at around 103. I think we need to sell it short again at that point, but clearly we haven't gotten there yet. By extension, dollar being weaker in a downtrend has led to gold making new records. Why? It's XAU divided by USD. This bottom part of this equation, US dollar, just got weaker, got smaller. So gold moved higher. And we're seeing new records. This was a previous record from July 17th. Notice this new breakout, big green candlestick on August 16th, and we basically continued to make higher highs. So this is again similar to what I just described, a short squeeze for gold. So let's say you shorted gold, you need to put your stop somewhere, and usually you put your stop above previous highs. Now we see new records for gold. And now let's look at some of the cryptocurrencies. So this is a little bit of an in-depth analysis of cryptocurrencies. This is Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin, technically speaking, is still in an uptrend. So there are the upward facing arrows. This candlestick right there on the 8th of August was very big, very green. I thought this was it. I thought we're gonna make new records. Another opportunity, or another signal to buy right there on the 23rd of August. However, in both occasions, we really failed to make any sort of follow through to the upside. So on the 26th, 27th of August, we fell again below this blue support resistance line. Usually we buy around the blue support resistance line. We did this before. So for example, this was successful trade in July. This was extremely successful trade in January of this year. We bought around 39,000. It went as high as 73,000, so very successful trade. Also opportunity back in October of last year. Again, in October it was around 26,000 and it went as high as 48. So definitely we were able to capitalize on my support resistance indicator lines to use it for trend trading. Now we're sort of seeing this resistance come in. So let me explain what I'm trying to show here. So again, we failed to follow through to the upside. We fell below this blue support resistance line. And this day right there on the 29th of August is quite telling. So notice that Bitcoin tried to get above this blue support resistance line, but failed. So bulls tried to push the prices higher above 60,500, but throughout the day the bears came in and pushed the prices lower. So this is a rejection type of candle that occurred on the 29th of August. So far on the 30th of August, and again today it's already technically 31st of August, according to the trading, because this thing is traded 24 hours. So far we have not been able to get above this blue support resistance line. So I'm anticipating a potential pullback for Bitcoin, and if we get to this red support resistance line, which is currently at around 51,750, then we will need to see if it breaks below this level, and especially if it closes below that level. So notice right there on this 5th of August, this actually did occur, and we kind of pierced that red support resistance line, but did not really close below it. However, notice this candlestick. This is a red candlestick. Technically speaking, it's a hammer candlestick. Why is it a hammer? Because it looks like a hammer. This is a handle of a hammer, and this is the business part of a hammer. It's not a very good-looking hammer candlestick. A good-looking bullish candlestick would be possibly green and with a smaller real body. Okay, so I'm gonna try to find one which kind of looks good. I mean, this is a good looking hammer candlestick right there on the 23rd of January. You see, you have a long shadow at the bottom, we have a green body, and it closed next to the highs. So this is a good looking bullish hammer candlestick. The one that occurred on the 5th of August doesn't look that good to me. So there is a very good possibility now that we will see a pullback towards the red support resistance line into September, and if we close below 51,700, I think we will need to rethink our strategy altogether and start selling. In other words, selling or shorting the Bitcoin. That is an entirely, a good possibility, just judging from the price action currently. So another thing that I kind of look at is, of course, correlations to other assets, or rather to other cryptocurrencies. And this is Bitcoin, so let's look at some of the other ones that we also monitor. And here is one, Solana. I don't know why it's so popular, but for some reason it's a very popular, cryptocurrency. I mean, it's all really the same thing. We look for opportunities to buy around the blue line. So let's say, back in December of last year, 23, if we were trading it, we would look for a pullback towards the blue line. We got that pullback on January 22nd right there. You just buy it there, and you would have bought it around $83. It went as high as 206. Okay, so that's a very nice move. Kind of similar patterns were back in April, in early May, and you got a decent move between 130 to 170. You would have been able to make money. Even similar opportunities back in June, and as far as even in July. However, something happened around late July. We got a nasty looking pullback for most cryptos and actually for stocks as well. Notice again this giant looking potential hammer candlestick. It looks a little better than Bitcoin, but still it's a red candlestick. So it looks like we're retesting we're about to retest the red support resistance line. So this is what I was referring to. Notice that on the 24th of August of this year, 2024, this is a signal to buy. Okay, this is another signal to buy. We did not actually trade it. I'm just showing it to you for illustrative purposes. So this is a signal to buy on the 24th of August. There was no follow through whatsoever. In fact, it was the opposite. We saw 6 days of downward pressure. And now we're down to this red support resistance line. So we're at make it or break it level. At if we close below 127, I think we'll just move strongly lower towards the yellow line at around 100, possibly below it. So that is Solana, and correlations between various cryptos are quite high. So is Solana leading Bitcoin lower? It's possible. Let's continue to look at some of the other cryptos we monitor, and here's Ethereum. And Ethereum actually entered a new downtrend right there on the 4th of August. This is how the downtrend begins. We see a close below this red support resistance line, a strong move lower, a bounce higher, we didn't even touch the red line, and then another move lower. And notice what's happening currently. We're trying to retest this yellow line. We have 1, 2, 3 times touched it. First time 27th of August, 28th of August, and again today on the 30th of August. I am not certain it will hold. I think Ethereum will break down and continue lower significantly, possibly. I actually traded myself, but I got and I made a little bit of money. I bought Ethereum right there on the 19th of May, and it just popped higher. So I made a little bit of money here, but not really like huge amounts. And now looks like the opposite. So if you have an opportunity to sell Ethereum short, then I would potentially wait for a pullback towards the red support resistance line and then sell it short. It hasn't occurred, and I'm not sure it will bounce now. I think it might just collapse. So if Ethereum just continues lower, I think Solana and Bitcoin will also follow suit. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about any and all of the securities we covered? S&P 500, equal weight, Dow Jones, high yield bonds, gold, dollar, and any of the cryptos we covered. Other than that, please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and head over to MasterChartsTrading.com. Click on sign up. So again, I sell the indicators that you can see on this chart. There's green, blue, red, and yellow lines. They're available for TradingView.com. TradingView.com is a free interface. You just need to open a free TradingView account, come back to my site, Master Charts Trading, sign up there, and I'll open the door for you for TradingView.com. If you need the newsletter, so newsletter is daily alerts about various securities that we trade, as well as weekly members only video. So for example, today's weekly members only video will cover this various securities such as market breadth. We will cover ETFs, large cap stocks, many of the speculative securities, as well as gold and silver related ones. And I think the best deal is to get both trading indicators and newsletters. And I think the best deal is, of course, to get the yearly subscription. However, monthly subscriptions are also available. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and have another great trading week. Bye-bye.